Howdy folks, I'm Brian, here's Amber, and here's some Reddit. Our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Stealing My Daughter's College Fund? And this one's a follow-up to a previous episode, so I'll put the thing up here. A bit of an update from my last post. Emma lives with her grandparents, and instead of getting emancipated, Emma's grandparents are fighting us for custody. Emma hasn't spoken to us since she left and is planning on moving to a town in the middle of nowhere with her grandparents. Now for this post. Emma's grandpa came over last week asking for Emma's medical card and asking for us to transfer the money in Emma's college fund into an account with their names and Emma's name on it instead of mine and my husband's. We gave them her medical card and all of the important documents, but refused to transfer the money and said that if Emma's their kid now, then they can pay for her college. We got into an argument, and they brought up that they put $10,000 into that account when Emma was born, and that I've been putting Emma's birthday and Christmas money into that account, plus money Emma made as a child model. She modeled when she was 2 through 6, and that money is theirs. When my husband said that we weren't giving them the money, they threatened to sue us and left. In my opinion, if Emma isn't our child anymore, we don't have to pay for her. And the money that they gave us was a gift. We just chose to put the money in that account. So Reddit, are my husband and I jerks?
Yes? So you want to steal your child's money that she was given for all those birthdays and Christmases, plus the money she earned as a child model, plus the $10,000 that her grandparents gave her for college? None of that was a gift to you.
Yeah, well, I think the big distinction here is who was it a gift for? And it was more of a gift for Emma and not a gift for the parents. And to say that, especially since $10,000 isn't a trivial amount. And to say that, oh, well, we're keeping the $10,000 because Emma's not our child anymore and you can pay for her college. Well, they were paying for her college. They paid $10,000 for her college. I just think it's kind of a jerky move for them to make. I think that they know very well that this isn't their money to do with what they please. So, yeah, I don't know. And judging from the way they acted in the last post, I wouldn't be surprised if they had never had any intention of putting that money towards her college anyways.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that they do get the law involved and actually get the money so that Emma can be taken care of, because I don't trust these people to do the right things for her.
Yeah. Well, and like I said last time, there's way more details missing here than what we're seeing, and these people are just kind of showing their true colors here with this now. I mean, this update doesn't paint them in any better of a light.
And that was just what we were told, because if the grandparents are trying to sue for custody, there's probably a lot more going on than what we got out of the post.
Yeah, so I think there's probably a lot more going on here. I think that this is a really messy situation, and I feel so bad for Emma, being caught between these two worlds, so to speak.
Yeah, although I'm really glad she has the grandparents in her life, because it sounds like they actually are trying to put her first.
Yeah.
Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my older sister's husband where she was after she ran away from him? This happened 2 years ago, and I still feel guilty over it, so I thought I would post it here to see if I was the jerk or not. Our mom died when my sister was 19 and I was 10, so she practically raised me. Our dad left when I was a baby. She married her husband when she was 22, and I lived with them until I went to university. Her husband did a lot for us, including making sure my sister could finish her degree, which she had to drop out of when our parents died to look after me. He has one major flaw, though, which is that he's a workaholic. He got really bad when his father announced he was going to retire soon, and he started actively grooming my brother-in-law to take over their family business. This meant my brother-in-law had to travel a lot more for client meetings. My sister hated it, but sucked it up mostly. When my sister was pregnant, she called him while he was abroad and begged him to come back home because she was experiencing some cramping and she was scared something was wrong. He basically told her everything would be fine, he'd come home in a few days. It got worse and she tried to call him again, but his phone was switched off. She ended up calling me in tears because she was bleeding and he wasn't answering. I was away at university at the time, and it took me a few hours to get back home. But by that time, she was already at the hospital and knew she was miscarrying. My sister ended up packing her stuff and leaving their marital home after and swore me to secrecy. she pretty much ghosted him. She still talked to me, and it was obvious she was depressed, and when I tried to convince her to talk to him or talk to a therapist, she refused to. My brother-in-law was a mess, and after 2 weeks I ended up telling him where she was because I felt sorry for him and I was also worried about my sister. Things were really awful between them for a few months, and my sister resented me for a lot for telling him where she was initially, but they did eventually manage to work things out. When she first saw me after he made her come home, she said I had betrayed her and she wouldn't forgive me. I've told this story to a few people, and the general consensus was that I was a jerk because I took the choice away from my sister, and it looked like I was favoring my brother-in-law. So what's the verdict?
I think this one's pretty tragic in a lot of ways. The trouble here is that, they betrayed their sister's trust, and that's really where I think this becomes an issue.
Yeah, she asked them not to tell, and her husband had done something really horribly hurtful to her. I mean, who shuts off their phone when your partner is, in such a situation? I understand he was in, business things and whatnot, but if your partner is, experiencing pregnancy difficulties, you really do need to find some way to be there for them, even if you can't be there for them physically. Yeah,
well, also, we don't really have a good timeline about how this went down. And if this was all in the same day, then, if his phone was off temporarily or he was out of service, cell service, we don't really know if that was the case. But still, if she was that concerned that something was going wrong, he should have, I think, listened to her.
Yeah.
And, tried to get home earlier, or told her that, oh yeah, I'm going to try getting home as soon as I can. I'm really, I'm sorry that this is happening. But yeah.
Well, because no business thing is more important than your family in that respect. And so I think she had every right to be upset with him. And I think it was really irresponsible of the sister to betray her like that. She didn't want to talk to him. She's not a 5-year-old running away from home in the way that little kids do.
Yeah.
She's a grown adult who's fully capable of making her own decisions.
Yeah, well, and the sister took that decision away from her. We're all in agreement that this was really wrong to take away the agency, really wrong to take away her sister's choice. And this was something that they were sworn to secrecy about, and they violated that trust.
Yeah.
So I can't blame the sister for being upset.
Yeah.
Our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for firing one of my employees for her behavior? I am a bar manager. One of my scheduled bartenders sent me a message saying that she couldn't come in because she was having a flare-up. I don't really know what that means for her, and I'm not aware of her medical conditions. But I was unable to find someone to cover her shift, so I told her that she should come in anyways. Not long after her shift started, a customer flagged me down and said, I think you need to send the bartender home. She was walking in teeny tiny baby steps and crying, so I pulled her to the back and asked her what she thought she was doing. You said I had to come in. I'm doing the best I can. I said, no, you're not doing the best you can, because if you were, I wouldn't have customers coming to me and telling me to send you home. Doing the best you can means leaving your baggage at the door and doing your job just as you would on any other day. She said, I told you I couldn't come in today, and I said, well, now you never have to come in again because your BS dramatics just cost you your job. Now my restaurant is getting suspicious 1-star reviews, and I think it's most likely because she posted on social media about this. Am I really a jerk? I'm just trying to run a business, and I don't take kindly to people faking medical issues to get out of working.
You are a jerk.
Yeah, well, to insinuate that a worker who they've never had any issue with is suddenly just going to start faking a medical issue?
Yeah, she's walking in teeny tiny baby steps and crying. She's probably in an immense amount of pain. That's all I can assume. And you're like, oh, well, stop. You can't just put a smile on your face, so you're fired?
I think this was extremely cruel. They may not have understood, the full gravity of them coming in. And I think they should have asked them, do you think you can work? Are you going to be able to work through this? Instead of just assuming that they were going to be able to, push past it.
Yeah. I mean, this employee, she was open that she was not feeling up to coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And she still made it in even though she wasn't feeling up to it. And then you just kick her out because she couldn't do her job with a smile on her face.
Yeah.
Like, that seems really harsh.
Yeah, and you may not be aware of someone's medical conditions, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a medical condition. And I mean, while you have a business to run, you also have a responsibility as a manager to your employees to treat them well and to treat them kindly. So it's not just about turning a profit at the end of the day. It's about turning a profit in an ethical, way where your employees are respected and treated well as well.
Yeah. Our last story today is, am I the jerk for telling my daughter's boyfriend that he has to find somewhere else to stay, as I don't feel comfortable with him being in my home or around my kids? My daughter is Gemma, age 23. Her boyfriend is Jay, age 22. Jay has been living with my family for a couple of months. He is a very nice young fellow and treats my daughter like a queen, which definitely gets him some points in my book. However, I think it is safe for me to say that Jay hasn't had the easiest life. His mother left when he was little and his father treated him like dirt. Jay was kicked out of his home when he was 18. For the most part, he has been pretty open about the time after his father kicked him out. He got a job and managed to get a flat after sleeping on some friends' couches for a few months. However, being very vague when asked, he has said that he's had to do some things that he's not very proud of to earn some money. Well, last week I found out what those things were. Myself, my wife, and Gemma all got an email with a link to a video. That video turned out to be an adult movie. An adult movie that Jay was acting in. Fortunately, his face was not in the video, but Jay has several scars on his torso, scars that were evident in the video. His voice was also particularly easy to recognize. I really didn't know what to think. My first thought was to confront Jay and ask him about it. To my surprise, he was very honest about the whole thing. He had been struggling with money back then and had done several amateur adult movies for some extra money. He also admitted to having online relationships with older men and women who would send him money in return for explicit images and videos. This was hinted at in the email, but only the one link was sent. He says he is not proud of it, but he did what he felt like he had to at the time to make some extra money. He told us he was careful not to show his face and avoided using his real name at all costs. Now, you must understand that we come from what would be considered a more conservative family. My wife and I are more open and have nothing but respect for people who choose to work in this industry. That being said, a lot of our other relatives aren't open to the idea. We also have 3 other children, 19-year-old male, 15-year-old male, and 14-year-old female, to think about. I do not want our children thinking that this is okay. We are raising them to be independent, but if they need help, then they are more than welcome to ask, my wife and I. I'd rather my children weren't out there doing what Jay did for money. I have told Jay as much and requested he find somewhere else to stay. He is welcome to visit if he likes, but I do not feel comfortable with him living with us, especially my children, at this point in time. They are still young and easily influenced. My wife isn't happy and Gemma won't speak to me. I brought the matter up with a trusted family member and they completely understand where I'm coming from. And there's a pretty long edit, which if you want to check it out in full, then feel free to. But basically the story has kind of a happy resolution where this Reddit post was a reality check for the guy. Mm-hmm. And he realizes that actually he was being a jerk and tried to make things up with Jay. So
yeah, and I think that's a really nice happy ending. And I think that's a good thing to take away from here. And the thing is, like, it would be different if Jay was, like, flaunting it in your household and being like, I'm so proud of the work I did here, and trying to persuade your children to go into this, industry that you object to. But this wasn't something that Jay was proud of, and I seriously doubt you have anything to worry about with him, like, brainwashing your children into, going into the adult movie industry.
Well, and I don't even think there's anything wrong with the adult movie industry, so I want to make that clear.
Well, yes, I'm not saying there is, but I think one of his things that he was talking about...
His concern is the children picking up on it. Yeah, it's not like he's advocating for them to do this. He said he's not proud of it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, which is unfortunate that we live in a society that stigmatizes that line of work so much.
Yeah, well, and certainly... there's a lot of issues with the adult movie industry, and there's not to say that there isn't. But I think that a lot of adult actors face a tremendous amount of stigma when they decide to leave that kind of work, and it's a kind of stigma that follows them around. And I think that's really more unfortunate than anything, is that people make a decision on what they want to do, and then...
Or what they feel forced to do.
Or what they feel forced to do, and then people basically never let them forget it.
Yeah. Like initially this dad was doing.
Yeah, and another thing is, like, he was in a tight spot, and he, it's not like he resorted to, robbing banks or, things that are, actual, like, felonies or whatnot in our society.
Nothing he did caused harm to others.
Yeah, nothing he did caused any harm to others. I mean, these conversations are always kind of tricky because there's never, like, a really straightforward, clear answer on anything,
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of the overall is that when someone comes to you and they've had some kind of troubled past, like, the thing you need to do is offer them love and support, unless they're like a murderer or something like that. Like there are some lines to be drawn.
Yeah.
But I don't think that working in the adult entertainment industry is that sort of place. So, I mean, the thing that really got me about this post initially is that it talked about how great a person Jay was.
Yeah.
He treats their daughter like a queen.
Yeah.
He's like, great, but he did this one thing in his past, and now I'm not comfortable with him anymore. And that I think is a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's a really good way of phrasing it there. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider giving me a thumbs up. If you didn't, consider giving me a thumbs down, but also consider explaining why in the comments below. Thanks to Amber for joining me here.
Thanks for having me.
She's kind of bounding as Santa Squidward. If you want to check out Amber's Instagram account, she's all of my outfits.
With underscores between the words.
Yeah, I'll probably put something up on the screen, like a little label. So if you like bounding and like Disney bounding or bounding as characters or whatnot.
Disney bounding and spooky are kind of my two big things.
Disney bounding, spooky are two of her big things. But she also has a Reddit channel here on YouTube, and that's Reading Reddit with Amber, and there will be a link up here. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Santa's coming tonight. Santa's coming tonight.